Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be a video actually about an accessory or an exterior part that I put on nearly all of my replicas that don't have a certain function that I think is really great. And actually, I thought I'd go through it with you guys just because I think it adds a lot to a replica and really does not kind of take anything away from it. Now that is going to be something which I have attached right here. You may be able to see it on this one, you may not, but it is a thing called a B.A.D lever. Now this is, I think, originally manufactured by Magpul on real steel. I may be completely wrong on that, so if you're watching this video and you're like, no, that's not the case, please put it in in the comments below. But this is something that I actually found on one of Ollie Talks Airsoft videos, probably about 3 or 4 years ago. He just said, hey, I've put a B.A.D lever on here. I remember at the time I was like, what is a B.A.D lever? So I kind of searched through and found what it was. Well, I saw him use it and then I was like, okay, I need to put one of these on what I have. But what it does basically is it turns this, which is your standard, this is my Mark 18 MWS. This thing is amazing, but it is kind of in that older style, more old school. We're not going to do ambidextrous controls on everything. So as you can see here, it has a fire selector on this side. It does not have a fire selector on this side. And unlike my, here's a good example, unlike my MCX Spear LT, this is the APFG one. You can see here, this has a little catch here that I can push. It has the ambidextrous fire control on both sides, fire control here, and then it also has the standard bolt release. But what this does here, and I'll show you right here, this is Airsoft, this is not real steel. However, this product would work real steel as well. You can see here the bolt is in its retracted position, locked back because the mag is empty. If I want to release it normally on this, I'll have to push this button right here. You can hear that bolt slam forward. I'll show you on this side. So if I push that button there, and that is going to then put the bolt forward. So once I've reloaded, so if I have 2 mags, one here, I've fired until the point where I've got bolt hole back, an empty bolt. I can just remove that, reload, and then instead of having to hit this like that, what I can do is put my front finger right there and I can flick that down, and that is going to give me that bolt release that I want. So it's great. It's how it is on all your kind of modern replicas, and not all your modern replicas, but a lot of modern replicas now. You may have a left-handed shooter. You may have people that just want to have more control over both sides of their platform. So that is normally in place. Now with my Mark 18, as I was discussing, this doesn't have ambidextrous controls. So there is no fire selector, fire control, fire selector that's ambidextrous on this side. I have to go on this side to do that with my thumb. So if you are shooting left-handed, you are having to basically use your fire control there as opposed to having it just there with your thumb. And there is no bolt release like there is on the other side. However, this very simple device, which you can buy, I think the actual Magpul version of this is $32. I'll put a link in the description below. But this very simple device basically is just a lever. So it will bolt straight onto that bolt release that is already there. Example of that on here. Sorry, this is getting a bit convoluted. That little button right there. This one is actually, it's going to be hard to do because you've actually got a secondary mag release right there. But that basically just sticks out, and instead of having to, oh no, I need to get a different lower, etc., that lever will just run straight away underneath, and it basically puts this little tab just at the front of your pistol guard in the pistol well, the trigger well. Trigger well? I don't know why I'm not thinking of that. Anyway, you've got your trigger guard here in the actual trigger well, which is kind of what I presume we'd call it. I'm trying to think if I know of a different word for it. But anyway, this little tab here just sits there. So now when I have the same situation and I've got bolt lock back here, you can see there, this little tab here, if I hit this here, is going to have the same action. Now you can see on the side here where that is there, I can push this and it's just going to do that little angle. So all it is basically doing is putting a little metal bar there, which is just going to allow me, instead of having to, when I fire, reload, and I get bolt lock there, I go for the reload, thank you, put that back in there, and all I have to do here is just fire that forward. So instead of having to reach with my secondary hand and do that, I just have to do that. And so it just is going to make your fire control speed a lot faster. Like my reload is faster. If I'm clearing a jam, similarly, like it doesn't really happen in Airsoft, but it is just a lot quicker to be able to do that. And so one thing I would say is there are attachments that I buy where I'm like, okay, I think this is a great idea. I put it on there. I don't use them, or they just get in the way. And I thought that might be the case with this. Like obviously it's a bar that's going to almost get in the way, you'd expect, of your trigger finger, which is a big problem. However, with this one, and like they've cut it in an angle here where it's actually, let me just try and show you that, like they've kind of like pushed it right to the front of that trigger well. So it really doesn't get in the way, and I don't notice it at all. There is, for me, and you may have a different opinion, but for me, there is no downside to having that there, and it really has made my reloads a lot faster. Obviously, it's going to depend on the replica that you're using, because if I'm using my Spear LT, I do have that ability, but I'm having to like put my finger up here as opposed to just keeping it there. So if I'm firing on my Mark 18, I'm just going boom, 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 bang, well, reloading, bang, release the bolt, and then carry on firing. With this one, boom, 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 reload, bang, release there, and then I'm good to go again. So it really isn't a big deal. It's not a big change, but I would say, I'll try and give you guys like a little example here. But if I am firing, I'll do a, and then I get the bolt lock there, I'm just removing, replacing, down, and I'm good to go again, which is just, it's super, super fast. So any of my replicas that I have, which I don't have ambidextrous controls on, I don't use an ambidextrous fire selector, so I don't see the point in having to put that in there. And it's going to be different person to person. You might be like, okay, wait, I really value having that ambidextrous. I don't do that. I just literally will put that bad lever in, and all I literally need to do is, there's just 2 screws here, and I will just undo 2 plates, undo, put the plates either side, screw them up, and I'm good to go. So that really, for me, is just a really good little upgrade that you can do if you're like, okay, my reloads are a bit slow, I'm using it. This is obviously gonna be gas blowbacks really, because that's what you're gonna have bolt lock on. You're not gonna need that on an AEG. But if you are kind of thinking, right, well, that's something that I'd quite like to test out, I would really, really recommend it. The other thing you can do as well is, I know sometimes people want to do the bolt lock. And so if I pull this back, normally I have to basically push the lower part of this switch down to lock in and hold that bolt back. Now, if I have this one, I actually can just put my finger straight under here. So when I pull back the bolt, I can just flick that finger, reverse, and then that just holds it in place. So again, might be that you're adjusting your hopper, might be that you're doing something like that, but I actually probably use that just as much as I do on the other one. There's certain things, like I'll always want the rear sling mount right here underneath, so I'll normally change that sling plate. But I've done it on this, I've done it on my Noveski N4, I've done it on this one, my Geisley Rail Mark 18, same thing. So you can see there, I've got it literally right here, and it's exactly the same position. I really, really like it. You can see I like the same kind of stuff, because on this I've also got Daniel Defense furniture. But just being able to like flick that, lock the bolt, that's the wrong mag. I have to say, I do love the Spear LT's like ambidextrous bolt release. There are definitely some platforms where they've just got for me, the ambidextrous stuff in the wrong location. But if I can literally just go bang, bang, flick, and then I'm back in. I didn't get bolt lock on that, it was weird. I actually didn't use it though, did I? But yeah, I mean, that location for me is pretty great. Anyway, that's going to be my kind of like little tip overview thing of the week. This one that I've got is actually has PMM written on it. So if you search PMM bad lever, you'll probably come up with that version. But I think from what I know, I think that Magpul made the original first one. So I would probably end up going and having a look at that. Magpul generally just makes some great stuff. I just find a lot of the stuff that I'll put on my replicas, Magpul will have either made like the early version of it, or I'll just buy the Magpul version. So I'm a big Magpul fanboy. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully you found this interesting, and if you liked it, you'll go out and buy a B.A.D lever. There should be a link down below. If you could click that instead, I'd really appreciate it, because there's a chance it could be a referral link. Doesn't cost you anything, just help support the channel. But yeah, I'll see you on the next video, and have a great day wherever you are.